Hey guys, just wanted to send you a quick video going over the remote learning exercises you'll be doing for this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Didn't get a chance to go over them with you last week. This video will help alleviate some questions, I hope. But as always, if you do have questions after watching this video, go ahead and shoot me an email or we can set up a Zoom call. So the first thing you'll be doing is creating a communication plan, which, as you might suspect, is a plan for communication. Um, Communication plan is the roadmap for getting your message across to your client and stakeholders. There are other audiences, and when you hear the word audience, what I mean is not a group of people sitting watching you perform a play, but an audience here is any group or person that you need to communicate with in order to make your project successful. A client is an audience, stakeholders are an audience, people within your own organization. Um, in this case, it could be people developing the website for you, are different audiences. So watch this video because some of the concepts from this video will be used in today's exercise. Read through this. This is the purpose of a communication plan. Know why you want to communicate. Consider who you need to communicate with. What do these audiences think about the issue or the topic presently? Defining your message, writing a key message for each audience. So the messages to your web developers would not be the same message you'd be sending to a client. Deciding when you need to deliver them and how do you deliver those messages. Could be phone call, email, meetings, many different ways. So these are things to consider. Who's delivering the message? If it's not you, how would you prepare them? What resources are required for delivering the message? If it's a Zoom call, you'll need computers with cameras and microphones. How will you enable feedback? How will you know that they've received the message? How will you know if they've understood the message, acted upon it, or there's been a change made based on that communication? And how will you follow up if follow-up is necessary? So this template here is something that you'll actually be using. You'll actually be recreating this exact template without this stuff because this doesn't deal with web development. But you will create a communication plan where you will list your audiences, the messages, the way you're delivering it, the media or vehicle, which is the way your message is being delivered, how often, and within the frequency, what's the timing of that, who's responsible for delivering the message, and if feedback is necessary, how will feedback be received? So what you're going to do is on a Google Doc, create the following, create a communication plan template. There's the table function in Google Docs, which works quite well. So you'll be creating a table that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. And I want this here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. So I want this header row and then the 6 different rows. You can see that for this first one is the audience. We talked a little bit about that. You definitely want a stakeholder as an audience. You definitely want the client as an audience. Remember, stakeholder is defined as anybody who has some sort of vested interest in the project. It could be a financial interest. It could just be a professional interest. And you can include people within your team here. Just come up with 5 different audiences that you, as a web developer company owner, who would you need to communicate with on a regular basis. Okay, so you must duplicate the example on the previous slide. Your communication plan must have 5 audiences, which is this column here, and the same column headings used in the example. So make sure you use these headings as well. Now again, like with most of the stuff, you're using your creative energy to create something that doesn't exist just yet, and that's okay. Purpose is just understanding the different types of people you would need to communicate with, what messages you'd communicate with them with, and then the other parts as well. So you're doing that chart or that table. The other part of the assignment is on the same Google Doc right below your chart. Write with your primary stakeholder in mind, answer the 5 bullet points found 2 slides back. And I copied that and put that here for you. So who will be delivering the message? How will you prepare them? What resources are required? Feedback. How will you know that message is received? And if there's follow-up, how will that occur? So I want these 5 questions. Well, in some cases, there's more than 5. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different questions in these 5 bullet points. Answer those in direct correlation with speaking to your primary stakeholder of the project. So you have a table and you have these 5 bullet points that you're going to address for Monday. Okay, moving on. Oh, and a cute little cartoon. Moving on. Tuesday. We're going to talk about a work breakdown schedule, and we're going to talk about estimating activity resources. Okay, so work breakdown schedule basically just means taking all the work that's necessary to complete the project and breaking it down into tasks, the resources and costs, a timeline, and who's responsible to complete those tasks. So first we're going to define the activities. What are the tasks that need to be accomplished? So you will create a work breakdown structure. So what you're going to do is you're going to create something that looks very similar to this. This is a work breakdown structure for building a house. So we can see that in this example that building a house is broken up into 3 separate entities. The foundation of the house, the exterior of the house, and the interior of the house. So based on this chart, they're saying that the foundation will be about 25% of the overall work needed to build a house. The exterior is about 30%, and the interior is about 45%. So when you add 45, 30, and 25, it means 100% of the house will be built through the foundation, the exterior, and the interior. And you can see how those are broken down even further. So we'll come back to this because you'll be creating a chart similar to that. So next part of it is estimating activity resources. Determine who's available to work on a project and what costs there might be. So these are some of the costs you're going to consider. And you might have to do a little bit of Google searching to find out what the costs are for a small upstart web design or any type of company, really. Labor. So it's probably not just going to be you. You might have some other people with you. Or maybe it is just you. It's up to you. Overhead. Costs not directly associated with the product or service. So that could be if you're renting a building. So rent would definitely be considered that. And the other costs that go with that, the electricity, heating, and so on. Any materials, software, and hardware you might need to create the project. Any advertising, and then anything else that just might fall under miscellaneous expenses. Okay, so for this assignment, you're going to create a work breakdown schedule, and you're going to create a list of costs. So you're going to use Draw.io or any other flowchart creating program. You're going to create the breakdown chart. Go back 2 slides. So that's going to create a chart just like this. But up here, instead of build a house, yours will say develop a website because that's the project you're working on. You're going to break that down into 3 different entities, just like you see here. So it can be coding the website. It can be the research and development for the website, and it can be a third one that I'll let you decide on. So as long as you have at least 3 different entities of breaking it down, definitely, coding and creating the website would be a big part and probably be a good percentage of that 100% work total. So of course, if you use Draw.io, you must export it as a JPEG or PNG. So make sure it's always exported as some sort of image file. That image file you're going to attach to the Google Doc. If you do a save as, or if you do a download, it's not going to work. The next part is estimate the activities and costs. So again, these are the different categories that we talked about. Just give me an estimation what you think it's going to take us. Oh, that's the database again. I did another copy and paste. So that should say website. I'll fix it right now. If you're in my database class, you'll be doing the exact same project. All right. So create the workflow schedule, create the just a list of estimated costs for the project. Again, use your creative imagination, but have some sort of reality in that. I've had people turn in projects that say for the website it'll cost $6 million, and I say no, it won't. So maybe do a little bit of research to see what that might cost. Then finally for Friday, the last part, sequence activities and developing a schedule. So the sequence of activities is determining how certain parts of the job need to be done, in what order. So what you're going to get out of this lesson is learning these two sequence activities. One's called a finish to start link, and the other one is a start to start link. So a finish to start link means that the second part, this B, whatever B is, cannot be accomplished, cannot be started until part A is done. So if we're keeping with our home building analogy, digging your foundation A must be complete before you can start pouring concrete, which is B. So we can't get to B until A is completely finished. That is a finish to start link. The other one, there's other links between these two, but these are the two we're going to focus on, is a start to start link. So task B can't start until A starts, but the difference here is once A has started, B can also start. So example here is to save time, you want to level concrete at one end of the foundation while it's still being poured on the other end. But level concrete, task B, can't start until pour concrete A has also started. So even though A has already started, we can start B. Unlike here, where B cannot be started until A is completely finished. And then estimating activity durations, you're going to create a time frame to complete the project, your website project, including 2 beta versions before the final version is submitted. So here again, with our house building analogy, we went from groundbreaking in 2017 to move in 2020. So about 3 years to build a house. I'm guessing that's a huge house. So you can develop a similar schedule. So when you first meet with the client, perhaps, start coding. You're also going to include 2 beta versions, so 2 test versions that the client can test out and give feedback on. So you'll develop a schedule like that. So for this exercise, the sequence of your activities. Determine the type of task dependencies, finish to start or start to start, that are needed to accomplish your end goal. You should have at least 3 linked task dependencies. So I'll give you an example of one. So let's say you want to, what can we do here? You want to send the client a test version or a beta version of your website, which would be B. But that can't be done until it's finished being coded, which is A. So that's a finish to start link. So you're going to come up with 3 different links, all finish to start, all start to start, or a combination of the 2 that deal with creating a website project. So that might take a little bit of thought, but there's going to be certain things that you can do simultaneously, like here, and there's some things that you can do or have to do once part A is finished before you start part B. So come up with 3 of those, and then create a linear timeline, linear meaning just like this in a line. Create a linear timeline similar to the one in the previous slide that shows how long it will take to complete the project, including 2 beta tests. So you'll come up with those task dependencies. You don't have to create a image like that. Just write it out. Give me those 3, and then give me your timeline. It could look something like this. You can do it however you want to do it. And then that is due on Wednesday. Okay. So those are the 3. Again, any questions, email, set up a Zoom call, and I will see you on Thursday.